Hello, my dear friends. It's always an extreme pleasure to take some time and talk with you about problems and stuff. I hate that everybody has problems, but we need to get them all fixed up and everybody get happy. Although, I tell you, there's so much going on this planet. It's amazing. All the different levels of consciousness, and it's just amazing. I was reading this the quite lengthy oration, 20, 30 pages, almost 30-some pages from a judge, The Matrix and the U.S. Constitution. If you ever have a chance to find this, I'm going to put it up on our website, but this really applies to more Brits and Americans, but more Americans than anything. I think you'll be quite shocked what this judge has to say. I've had a lot of years studying law and the government and stuff like that, of course, and this pretty much goes along with what many others have discovered and found out about what's been going on in law and stuff in our court system and the Article 3 courts and, you know, international law and all that stuff like that. The average American would literally be shocked. But I don't know what can be done about it. It's too late for America, as far as I'm concerned. It's just too late. It's a matter of time. So we have to see how God has things planned, because everything is in, there's all kinds of levels of playtime. And you've all probably experienced it one journey or another through these different levels, you know. They're just different levels. One doesn't have to let them get to you. But I want to just mention this incredible woman. Her name's Michelle, and she wrote a book, Still Wearing My Heels. If you ever get a chance to read that, we're going to have it for sale for her, but she's already been around. This is, you know, people get mad sometimes when you talk too much about things, but we are in trouble in our healthcare systems. And if you don't realize that by now, you will, because it's just going to get a lot worse. Because there's no curative value when you don't understand what causes anything. When you don't understand what causes man's suffering and you try to treat the symptoms from that, and you don't understand the chemistry of diets and how all that is, and how all that's effectual to fluids and all this other stuff, you're just not going to be what we call a healer. You're not going to be involved in that. So I've always been scared of pharmaceuticals. You know, pain meds is something that you know, we grope for when we're really in a lot of pain, and there are some pharmaceuticals that's nice. But then we also have the unrefined stuff, like the opium and stuff, that's more pure in some ways of looking at it. But it's enough to say that most pharmaceuticals are not needed and very bad stuff. And to show you this one, this is a sad case. She took a pharmaceutical. She fell on her bicycle, hit her head, and went into a seizure. They treated her as if she had epilepsy. And this is what happened to her. And she told me she lost 95% of her skin. She said I could talk about it, so I will. Burned one of her eyes out, and the other one's almost gone. This is sad stuff, guys. Sad stuff. Majorly burnt. Now, was that pharmaceutical an alkali or was it an acid? Not good. Just really sad stuff. And it shows you the nature of acids and what acids can do to you. That's a sad case. And we're going to help her. Whatever it takes. God. Just another lady sent this in, and I wanted to. This is, Kate, thanks, sweetheart. I want to talk about this a little bit. I think we need to talk a little about women's health. And she's talking about your monthly cycles or your monthly periods. And I think that, and she brings up some excellent stuff, and I've known this, and I've talked about it on other videos to some degree. But I found this out back in the early 70s as a fruitarian, and I had some friends who were females that went fruitarian with us. And they had the same experience. And when you realize that your monthly cycles is a cleansing cycle. We have natural cleansing cycles in the human body. Wouldn't that be essential to keep a machine healthy and running? Is that periodically it cleans itself? That would it would be cool if we could design something like that. But God did, and it cleans itself, and it heals itself. Man just hasn't learned what to put in it and what not to put down it as a fuel source. But your monthly cycles is a cleansing cycle. And of course it uses an acid to accomplish this. But estrogen is not an over-acidic acid. So that's a nice part of that. It's not a 3pHer like your cellular acids are. So the cleaner a female is interstitially, and the cleaner her lymph system is, the cleaner her uterine is, and the ovaries, and it's the same thing all through you. And so the less bleeding has to happen. The more toxic you are, the heavier the bleeding, the more odorous, all this kind of stuff. If you're a meat eater, expect a smelly period. The same way as smelly underarms. These are putefactive issues. They stink. And if someone calls that health, call it health if you want. We don't. So your periods will be scanty, very thin, not much to it. No cramping, no excessive bleeding. Now, let's talk about that in a minute, because irregular menses and excessive bleeding can also be hormonal. And so where are the main influence, which glands, in other words, are the main influence on a female? Well, pituitary and ovaries, right? Pituitary controls the ovaries with FSH. There's also luteinizing hormones, all kinds of stuff that's coming out of the pituitary for the female. When your cycles are irregular, then we've talked about this before, it's a pituitary issue. Our female reproductive formula, I highly recommend females to use that for a while, especially while we have false unicorn root. And tone your female organs up. But again, these are just cells like any other tissue in the body. They're specialized, of course, like every other tissue in the body. And they have blood and lymph supply to them. So if you want to clean up anything in your body, you're cleaning up through what system? The lymphatic system. That's the one for endometriosis, atypical cells, ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids. These sort of things are all linked to the lymph system. So what would be your problem? Fibrocystic breast, same way. Just a precursor for the tumors. What system do you have down? The lymphatic system. That's kidney and adrenals. We talked about this before. Your adrenal estrogen keeps your vaginal wall moist. If you're one of the ladies that has had a hysterectomy, you have vaginal dryness, that's your adrenal glands. I had a pediatrician in here. She forgot that the body has many sources of estrogen. Ovarian estrogen is for the uterus. Those ovaries shrivel up when you're done. That house is closed. The interesting question is, how long in a raw food state, how old could you be and still stay fertile? They claim when you use your eggs up, that's it. But when we claim things, there's just so much we think that's not true. Because this planet has never experienced in the human race an elevation of health. And especially in the levels some of you guys are getting. Humans have never been to these levels before unless they've done this. And there's very few through the centuries that have done this level. So some of you are going to get healthier than man's been for quite a while. And so that's the need to change the genes and everything else. And that's if that's supposed to be. This could just be your ticket home. You know, I don't profess to know sometimes all of that because it's too deep. Sometimes we're sent on things and find out, well, you know. So I don't know. Vaginal wall, you want to use Hilal tea and douche for a couple of weeks. Take 2 weeks and douche every night. Now, I talked about that on a video a couple of days ago for atypical cells. Clean your body out. This idea of using yogurt implants and stuff like that, I don't know who comes up with this stupidity of how people take care of themselves. I just find some really low levels here. But anyway, it's enough to say that you never want to use yogurts or anything else like that. You use the botanicals. You want to worry about bacteria seeding themselves, stop, because that's the natural law of life. So I think it's important for ladies to realize when you're menstruating and you're a raw foodist that it's going to be good. It's going to be better than it ever was. But you also have to remember and take in consideration your endocrine glands and make sure your pituitary is healthy, your thyroids are healthy, your adrenals are healthy, and that sort of thing. And how you get something healthy is to change how you're making them unhealthy. Well, let me see. Could it be chemistry that has anything to do with this? Everything to do with this. And everything you eat is chemistry. Just because man classifies something as a food doesn't make it so. And particularly for our species. And this is one of our problems. We're running around like one guy over here saying this, one guy over here saying this, one guy here over saying this, and it's like, okay. Everybody's in conflict with each other, the healer levels. And that's because everybody buys into the propaganda set up by the medical profession, which is just an arm of the Illuminati, World Bank stuff. In its own way, look at Rockefeller is the controlling party of the AMA. So this is all just disseminated misinformation and propaganda. The government's been doing this forever. Matter of fact, in America, the average person has no clue of what we've done to the world and things like that. And some of you got to realize that us Americans are ignorant of what our government's been doing a lot. So, and I understand you guys don't want me to talk about that a lot, but there's some bad things coming, and I highly recommend you guys become aware of it. And I mean bad things that's got slated coming. And the messages have been all around us for a long time now. And so, protect yourselves. That's all this is about, is protect yourself, because there's no changing it that I see. So on your making your females healthy is making your body healthy. You know, and this whole thing about using steroids or hormones or we're going to get the bioidentical crap. I mean, it's just another names for confusing people to understand that there's no such thing as a bioidentical steroids. I can pull your saliva, I can pull your blood work. Both are highly inaccurate for hormones and steroid looks. So, and we know that if we take them, we make the respective tissues weaker, so that's a no-brainer. We get ourselves, a lot of ladies get themselves in big trouble because they're taking steroids or hormones. And that doesn't help anything. It just shuts everything down and artificially stimulates the other side. So you always want to make healthy tissue. Tissue already is created, knows what its job is, its consciousness is there. We're burning dirty fuels. We're burning the wrong fuels in our bodies. People, they might not like fruit or whatever. They got to get used to it. We're frugivores. We're islander species. We got to go back there. We have not adapted to this insane omnivorish diet. Someone said something on one of these requests way back about doesn't the human body adapt? Take a look at it. Chemistry is chemistry, and there might be some minor adaptation because you'd see that as species change, but this species is about to terminate itself. You know, there are species that do terminate itself, and this is one of them. So I suppose that God wants this species to continue because the answers to the problems that's holding this species back is coming out now. So I don't know, but I thought this was a good article she wrote, or at least put up here. And so, you know, you might want to, I don't know if it's available or it's online, whatever it is. It says periods, they may be normal, but are they healthy? Okay, that's a nice little thing for that. Okay. Nuts and phytic acid. Well, you know, I've been talking about phytic acid in a long time. We particularly know that in soybeans, because soy is the highest, I think, bean with phytic acid in it. And phytic acid is just an inhibitor of germination, basically. And so that's been my point. If you eat enzyme inhibitors, there's going to be a blowback to your enzymatic action too. So I'm not a favor of nuts and things like this. A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's not that I don't like them. I love them. That's the trouble. This is showing a handful of nuts. You eat that many nuts, and you're really going to fill your kidneys. Kidneys do not like high protein diets. Period. And when you have kidney weakness, just show you. Remember I told you about the medical doctor? We showed him just what protein does on kidney weakness and kidney pain. So, a good friend of mine, he won't be giving people protein when they're in pain, that's for sure. And that's a big one for you guys. Any of you guys in pain, you don't do the proteins. Anything acidic is going to exacerbate your pain. But phytic acid, you know, it's just, it's also the protein content, the complexity of the nuts and things like this. Like I say, a hard shell on them meant to eat, maybe a couple of them. I'll say pine nuts or pignolia nuts, I think, are more suited for our species. More oils, things like that. I do have some percentages. We're going to try to get up on the website for you. Matter of fact, I'm going to have a meeting with Chris and Shannon here in a little bit. I want to change this website up. But he's talking about in milligrams per 100 grams of dry weight. Let me see, high phytic acid, quite a bit in a lot of these, to be honest with you. So just another thing to really watch out for. And I've talked about this, and I got a lot of crap at it at first. But now people are starting to realize and starting to feel that. When you're up there on a high diet of energy, of fruits and berries and melons and maybe some veggies, and then you do a protein, you can feel it. You can feel it, especially if you have pain or you have some weaknesses in the body. You can feel it. Like I say, if you're in pain, take about 2 weeks and just go raw. Even a week, just go all raw. Mostly fruits, berries, and melons, maybe some salads. And then try your big steak and potatoes there. You'll feel it. Okay. All right. But thanks for those. I love the stuff you guys send in. I try to read everything I can about that, because we want to eventually make our website, the club's website, really nice, so you can really get on and do research all you want on that. So we're excited about that. And Marcy found some more research related to the thymus gland, and I mentioned that on another video. And that was important to me because of that little baby. That this was a court case over in Miami where they filed manslaughter charges against the parents because this baby died on a raw food program. And the baby was so underdeveloped, it was horrible. And I have to admit that I thought the diet could have been better, but it was raw, and there's nutrition there and all this. And so what they found, and they found a raw food pediatrician in Miami that came and talked to the court about it. And of course, you can't prove in a court of law chemically that cooked food is better or that Ensure and all that is better chemically and electrically. Not even close. Matter of fact, you can show that they create a lot of problems chemically. So, but anyway, they ended up getting off, except for child neglect. And it's like, child neglect for giving your baby raw foods. But they found it was a thymus gland. It was a genetically mutated thymus gland. And nowhere had I ever read thymus gland produces growth hormones. Well, we found it. And you got to dig, dig, dig. I bet you the average endocrinologist has no idea. No idea. Let me see what this is. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see if we can get some of the questions gone through here, and we can get caught up here a little bit. There's no such thing with you guys getting caught up. Suffer from migraine. Dr. Morse, my name is Tulay. I live in the UK. I have been suffering from migraines for about 36 years. I hate migraines. I grew up with them. Didn't realize it was the milk getting it to me because I had major sinus. I didn't realize I had stomach as well, so I didn't realize some of these things. But as soon as I got off the dairy products and I cleaned myself out, guess what went away? So I highly recommend that you get your GI tract cleaned up and you get your sinuses dumped and cleaned up. Big time on that. I get them every month and it lasts 3 or sometimes 4 days. That sucks. Migraines are horrible if you guys have never had one. During this time, I'm in bed, unable to eat or drink anything and throwing up constantly. That's what I'm saying. You really want to clean up your GI tract and get away from all the dairies, all the meats, and all this. Start draining your sinuses. You can work on your cerebellum with some hot and cold applications. Work on your neurolymphatic system. Start getting your body cleaned up because I'm very familiar with this problem. It seems to do with my period. Again, got to remember, as you kick up acidosis, you kick up inflammation. And it's just all in part of that. You can spasm. And that's another thing you might think about here, is taking a look at your parathyroid gland, just out of the sake of looking at that. I have a poor digestive system. Kind of thought so. Yep. And my sinuses are playing up again. Yeah, you're walking right down the same line that I found that was my migraines too. And this is just what you're saying right here. And a friend recently suggests that the migraines might be linked to the thyroid problem. Well, I would say probably more to, if you do have a thyroid problem, more to why you have a thyroid problem. That would be your lymphatic system. And remember, this is a volatile, this is inflammation, this is spasticity, this is all kinds of things. Hell, when your blood doesn't get there, it just flatly kills you. This has all the other problems. The painful, the migraines, all the other stuff. That's the lymph system. I have been cleansing myself for the last 15 years. Well, I dig deeper. I would get into the herbs, clean up my bowels, get on the GI broom, make sure your kidneys are filtering, get your blood pressure, check that, get your adrenals up, get everything, get your pituitary, look at your endocrine glands, play with that, get your body healthy. Just go after that. A little probably deeper than you've been, because if you've been a raw foodist for 15 years, there's no way you have migraines. So, especially emotionally, letting go of the past and forgiving. Yeah. Well, we got to. We've got to, if you want to survive, guys, what's coming to this level, and it's going to be on the emotional mental levels with it, that all works together. You want to learn how to get beyond your mind. You want to learn how, what we've been talking about in all these videos, to quiet the mind and become awake. That's your survival. You won't be lied to. You won't be put in fusion centers because you'll be able to protect yourself. Meditating, being with nature as much as I can, but I don't think I've been doing the same with my diet. I began completely vegetarian last year. I don't drink milk, and I'm on my way being vegan. Well, I think you ought to kick it up another notch, because if you're writing me, I'm going to tell you dump all of that, go raw, 100% raw. What's the big deal? 100% raw for a few months, or even 6 months or a year. Who cares? It's raw. You got to train. What you guys have to do is retrain your minds who have been trained by others. So you have to take the responsibility of retraining this, because governments have been loving to train it. It's just the school systems. Who controls all these things? The governments. So, we've been brainwashed, and now we have to seek the truth. And that's what the awakening process is all about. When you're asleep, this is unbelievable what's going on at all these levels. God playing all types of games at all levels. But when you wake up, you see what's really going on. to get yourself free from the mess, because it's a mess, and just get yourself free from that. I've been eating raw food, fruits and veggies for the last 2 months. Yeah, but you said you've been 15 years, and you really want to get raw, honey, and get this out of you, because migraines are just a huge warning. For the last 2 months now, and started talking with the doctor. Oh, good, pain tincture a week ago. I don't know if an herbal pain tincture is going to help. We use, for migraines, we use the antispasmodic and the pain tincture. When you feel it coming on, take it now. And that should stop it before it comes on. Take it when you're full bore. I don't know. I don't know if ours is strong enough for that. Try the antispasmodic, though. That's better because it's more like spasms. With that said, just like I said earlier, and you're confirming that right down in this question, is your sinuses and your bowels. And that's exactly what I find to be the problem. And if you clean that up, sweetheart, you'll be good. This is Maria. My name is Maria. 7 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Yuck. I didn't want to get my thyroid. You didn't, meaning you probably did. Let's see. I didn't want to get my thyroid out and to do radioactive iodine, but I refused. I have my, oh good. I have my right side compromised and lymph nodes swollen in my right side. Well, you know it's your right kidney there, honey. You just got to get that kidney filtering, but you can't treat one kidney over another, of course. But yeah, that's exactly what's going on. And this is good to show you that probably your right lobe is involved in the thyroid. I have an 8-month-old baby, and I'm breastfeeding her. Oh, my God. She seems to be a very healthy baby. I decided to get into juicing and eating organic foods. I went to a naturopath, and he got lots of supplements as well, to a doctor that works in functional medicine. Okay. You said 7 months ago. Okay. I don't know where you're at now on this, honey, but you're 8 months out breastfeeding, right? Okay. It is time. Excuse me, sorry. Been detoxing myself. It is time that you move your baby into fruits. You need to start doing that. My grandson has been, he's 3, but he started getting into fruits about 4th month or so. And I mean, this kid isn't lacking anything. So it's enough to say that I would start introducing fruits and stuff and weaning, because you need to dig in here. You know, I've said this before, talking about cancer and pregnancy and cancer and mama's breastfeeding, and it's like you have to save your life or you won't be there for your babies. So forget the breastfeeding right now. I would, and I move away from that, because the level of work you need to do to get this out of you is going to be strict. And you don't want the baby to detoxify at the level you're going to be detoxifying. I've had that happen before. I had a mother that had cancer that I was detoxifying, and it detoxified the baby's skin right off of it. Built a brand new nice skin, but it must have been a weak skin. Your weaknesses will be terminated out of your body, and medical doctor people don't know how to understand that. They'll grow back, but your weaknesses. So you want to save yourself. And the first thing is, I'm a fruit, berry, and melon man. When you have tumors and things like this, because it's your lymph system that you've got to get after, and you probably got that by now. So you need to get into the kidneys, adrenals, get your baby off, get your baby on fruit, coconut water, things like that. You can grind up red delicious apples, put some cinnamon, make a nice little applesauce. There's a lot of things you can start doing now to get that baby growing muscularly. I mean, really, everything growing. The other side of this, you're a baby and you've got the cancer, meaning this baby probably has adrenal and kidney weakness as well. So you want to be thinking about that. That's why the fruits, berries, and melons for your baby right now is key, because it will start regenerating the weaknesses out of these tissues. That's number one and very important, and you can always work on your baby later with some herbs. But you have to get this thyroid cancer out of you. Cutting out the thyroid is not the answer. There's no question about that. because you're not fixing the problem. You'll just tumor up somewhere else on that side. So you have to really dig into this. And again, I go full-bore detox when there is a diagnosis like that. I go full-bore detox. Fruits, berries, and melons only. I get into the kidneys, adrenals, that you clean up the GI tract, which you're going to want to because this is sitting right up on it. You know, clean yourself up, sweetheart, because you want to get rid of this thyroid cancer. If you, I mean, well, they use the word cancer, but if you got a tumor in there, you want to get it out. It's just going to chew up your thyroid gland. Killing the thyroid isn't the answer, and killing all this stuff, obviously, none of that stuff's working. And you could pull it out with some black salve over here, but I'll tell you what, you really want to get this fixed. And to get you into 100% raw, get you on your kidney formulas, get on the 14-week protocol. That's for any of these levels. If you need help, get a hold of one of us to help you with some suggestions and get your feet on the path. But get your feet on the path. 7 months is long enough to mess around with this. Let's get that out of there, okay, honey? So that would be my high recommendation. Your baby's time is now to get them on fruit, and your time to get deep in your body and get rid of this tumor. I have a question for you about my husband. He would write himself, but he is French. Oh, you got a Frenchman, eh? Who is working very hard trying to get himself well, but is very worried about his weight loss. He has just been on a 3-week grape fast, and his weight is now down to 49 kilos, which I believe is 108 pounds for a weight of 5'11". Yeah, no question, skinny. He will shortly be sending a photo of his eye for a written report, but in the meantime, we would really appreciate your feedback on his weight issue. I don't know if I've gotten it yet. I mean, I've got some eyes. I'm working at home, 14-week protocol, so I might already have his at home. I don't know. I've talked about weight a great deal on this. And I think we even have a video on weight, excessively thin. And let's retouch on this, and hopefully Chris can highlight that, and we can use this over and over. But realize that when someone is on raw and they get real skinny, they're malabsorbed. You can just go to that already. I didn't get real skinny. Tons of people don't get real skinny. If you're malabsorbed, you're going to get skinny. And so because the high proteins and lipids are the only things supporting people that are malabsorbed, and not very well at that. So the first thing is you have to fix malabsorption. This is essential. And if you're going to fix this, because if you don't, you will have a major amount of problems in your life, not only nutritional deficiencies, and that's the only way you could have them, basically, if you're eating raw foods, is to be digestively and malabsorbed. So this is a big deal. Malabsorption is a big deal, and the question is, what is it? When someone says I'm malabsorbed, what do they mean? You absorb your nutrition through the villi of the bowel, and our bowels are ribbed, so we have all this absorption. Carnivores have smooth GI tracts for minimal absorption. How interesting is that? Ours are designed like the herbivores for maximum absorption of nutrients. So some nutrients are absorbed into right through the bowel wall, right through the mucosa, into what? Into the interstitial spaces of the blood and lymphatic capillaries. And these lymphatic capillaries take the lipids and who knows what else, and the blood does the minerals and other nutrition. The question is about the proteins. So, what would block the absorption of nutrients from inside the canal, the hose, through the hose wall into the capillaries of blood and lymph? What could possibly block that? Well, there's no question that a lot of the food we eat is mucus forming, right? When you're eating food that's mucus forming, you're eating food that's not a food, it's not good for you, your body doesn't want it, and therefore you have a mucosic response. Mucus. And dairy proteins are high on that order. But so is a lot of other ones, to be honest with you. Gluten proteins. Well, when you just strip out the whole grain of this and you're down to the refinedness of the white flour, you have super glue. And so we develop like amyloid plaque, we call it mucoid plaque in the bowels. And it gets black and rubbery. Sometimes you can see it with a colonoscopy because it looks like it's mucus, a thick coating of mucus. But once it gets out, starts to come out, it turns black. Some people have black. Matter of fact, if I had them right in my hands, I could grab them and not take the time. I would show you Dr. Jensen's endo and colonoscopies before and after the herbal program we put him on, and you'll be shocked at how black Dr. Jensen's bowels were before we put him on an herbal program and how clean we cleaned him up. And we have that somewhere. I show it in class a lot so you can see, you know, what cleaning up the GI tract does and what this black mucoid plaque looks like. If I can find those the next time, I'll show you. But it's enough to say that a lot of the foods build up a residue, chemical residue, plaque or whatever you want to call it, on the GI tract wall, on the mucosic wall, and that is a blocker, of course. And then, how about the lymph system in the gut wall? When your lymph system backs up, that means the spaces around the cells become stagnant with mucus and proteins. And that's exactly what you see in the brain in Alzheimer's, and that's exactly what you see in a cancer cell. There's no mystery to these things, guys. There's just no mystery to them. When you understand how the body works and a little bit about chemistry and the proteins and things, you'll understand why all this is happening like that. So you can't worry about the thinness because you have to fix it. And if you don't fix it, all this lymph saturating the bowel wall will burn the bowel wall. And then you'll have enteritis, small bowel inflammation, colitis, large bowel inflammation, gastritis, stomach, esophagitis. And you go right on up, baby. Right on up. And that's just what the problem is out there. We're fighting this. But that's all. You know, we make such a big deal out of all these deep problems, but make it simple. It's time people learn to have fun in lives and experience life instead of fighting their health issues all the time. So it's no question that everything you've learned about health is wrong. These are lies. This is propaganda, special interests. All this is involved in this. And the ironic thing, but this is creation, you know, we didn't create all this. But the ironic thing is the blowback is on everybody, including the people that block your freedom. They get theirs blocked too. People that get sick, people that tell you what to eat, they get sick too, telling you what to eat. So yeah, you can't worry about the weight. You are putting in the highest chemical and electrical foods on the planet. Fruits, berries, and melons, particularly berries, are the highest chemical foods on the planet. I mean, these are where all the nutrition is, guys. Especially ripe, picked ripe, picked ripe, picked ripe. Good green drinks, of course, good stuff there too. But that's the sum of it. You don't have to look any further than that. That's it. You don't need to. There's nothing in nothing. What's healthy about dead beans, dead grains, dead animals, their milks? What's healthy about that? Pastas and stuff. What's healthy about that? Absolutely nothing, honey. Absolutely nothing. And people can argue all day long. Of course, what do we do with these things? We sprout them. Better. But if you truly want to do sprouts, alfalfa is the best, no question, in my book. I would like to give you a little bit of background info about him as, let me go on down through. He was very often sick as a child and suffered enormously from asthma and eczema. So immediately we know from childhood this guy's kidneys and lymphatic system is down, down, down. Why the asthma? What can we blame on the asthma? The adrenal glands. Asthma is a neurological problem. You know, you could have mucus with it as well in the lungs like pneumonia, but this is a neurological problem, the adrenal glands. Part of all COPDs have neurological weakness with that. That's that out-breath, impossible. So right off, I tell you he was born with kidney and adrenal weaknesses, and you can imagine his lymph system now. So there's your malabsorption, there's your thinness, and probably has involved pancreas and liver involved too. So remember the 4 phases that are essential to be well. Digestion and absorption are the 2 fundamental ones, right? essential, or you're done right there. How about utilization of the nutrients? The bioavailability is much more involved in absorption and utilization. Utilization of nutrients requires hormones and steroids. If calcium just doesn't walk around as a free radical and used by the body with nothing. We're guided, and our guides are our endocrine glands. And these are all hooked to the chakras, which are all hooked to the Godhead. These are energy centers from the Godhead that sustain life at all these different levels. Amazing stuff out there. And explain what he is trying to heal on this program. He was very often, okay, we got it on that. Okay. Asthma attacks came back on the grape fast. We understand that as part of the detox process. Well, the problem with that is that when you go on raw foods, you're off the stimulants. Now you have pure chemistry and pure magnetics of the food itself. Man is used to stimulated eating. Most of what man eats are stimulants. So when most people start their detox, and we've talked just about meat eating, remember the neurotransmitters in meat? Your epinephrines, your epis? When you stop meat eating, you stop proteins, the stimulants, of beans and all this stuff, you can get a blowback, and the blowback is real chronic fatigue. Now you get to see, and that's while you're eating all this good chemistry and all this good electricity, you're still feeling more tired. Why is that? And that's called neurotransmitters, a lack thereof. And that is your adrenal glands. You've been stimulating your energy levels all your life, and now you're about to crash a little bit. Okay, now build it the right way. Fix your adrenal glands, make them healthy, build up your neurotransmitter production. That's the systolic blood pressure at the top. You want at least 120 to 130 to have a good day. So these are the things that you want to work on here. But these are the type of symptoms that he's had since he was a young person. So he's had these weaknesses. And so through the years, all this lymph system has been backing up, backing up, backing up. The myelin sheaths have been weakening, weakening, weakening because no one's fixed him. He also had pneumonia. Well, I mean, you got two things going on here. You're loaded with congestion, no question, and you're neurologically weak. So that brings you into the COPD chain, which is not good and not fun. So clean this up. He was always felt too thin, malabsorption. He's 39 years old. He presents the following health problems. Large varicose veins on both legs at 39 years old. So you guys, what are we going to tell this lady to do with this? The wife of the man. First of all, parathyroid gland. You want to make sure you want to get your husband on a parathyroid. And this is the time I would use a glandular, and I would use a glandular parathyroid. Ours is till we get our 50s. We only have 10s, so I double them 2, maybe 3 times a day with the Bones formula. Also, lower circulation, very helpful, and get on a raw food diet. You got to start absorbing your nutrition. He's starving to death. And so you could even be starving for calcium, but you got to start somewhere. And this is why these kits have, one, stomach and bowel formulas and GI brooms. Both of those are aggressively trying to clean and restore bowel function. They're not laxatives. They're restoratives. They're cleansers, rebuilders. That's what we want. We just don't want to rip people with, you see that in herbalists around there. They put you on these laxatives and all these things. That's not what health is about. You got to build your health. You got to start and fix the human body from the genetic weaknesses you got to all the mucus and stuff and proteins you put in. You got to detox all this out, all the heavy metals and stuff like this. Small hernia, again, tied to the parathyroid gland. I definitely would go after this parathyroid gland, and you might want to take a picture of the eyes and make sure it's not the pituitary doing it. Most worryingly, a hard mass several centimeters wide in the abdomen, just underneath the navel and slightly to the right. Ooh, doctors are unable to say what it is. You have a scan? He had a scan, should read on, but did not want further tests because they involved injecting some metallic product in the abdomen. The hard mass is growing. It is not really painful, but seems to cause the intestines around to change shape to fit around it, wouldn't you think? So if it's not the colon itself, and it's an external mass, it doesn't matter if it is the colon itself, but I hope it's not. I hope it's an external mass to the colon or on the side of the colon. Which system is that? Which system in your body is tumors, inflammation, cysts, boils, pimples? Your lymph system. You have a lymph system, and this lymph system is what all these videos are about. I mean, we clean up the blood and related organs, but that's easy. That's like, okay, we done that, okay. Do that blindfolded. It's the lymph system that's the baby. You can clean the blood up. That's the beauty of the blood. Easy to clean the blood up. So, to reverse the hard mass, what do you got to do? And he's neurologically weak from the adrenal glands, so that means what? That means obviously his kidneys are not filtering, and that's obvious because he's got a mass in there. So you got to go after the adrenals and kidneys. You got to do anyway to deal with the COPD, so to speak, the asthma. But you got to get this mass out, and the kidney's the way to do it. You can't pull it out of his belly with black salve, but if it's a big one, it's not going to be a fun thing. So just keep in mind, you can pull this mass out of his abdomen with black salve. But you want to fix the kidney connection because he's malabsorbed, he's everything else going. So you want to fix this. You can always pull the mass out if it's not coming down fast enough, blah, 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 blah. But again, it'll grow back if you don't fix the kidneys and the lymph system. So I'd be getting with this real quick. French are already a little thin, right? He does not sleep very well despite going to bed early. And again, he's high up in here. I said, parathyroid could have a pituitary connection to it. You're talking about a pineal gland up in the head, so there's inflammation in the pineal gland. Probably isn't the pituitary and all up in here. All these years, no one's fixed him. Going way back, his kidneys and adrenals have been down way back. Probably genetic, so this gentleman has had nothing but lymphatic problems. He's only 39 years old. So you might want to get a little pineal, glandular, and I would do 1 to 2 BS. That's before sleep. 1 to 2 hours before sleep. You might want to do 1 to 2, and not the melatonin. I would do the pineal. At the same time, you want to get up in here, upper circ, brain and nerves, start cleaning, start getting the sinuses to move, get the back, all of these things that is obvious in the cleansing of the human body and the restoration of the human body. Because this is what you're doing. You must clean to restore, and then you also want to regenerate. These are our words. This is what we do. We don't care what anybody else does. He does. Apart from the above, his energy levels are good. That's amazing. And he feels good within himself. That's amazing. He did a water fast 12 days. That's really amazing. He had been on an almost exclusively raw diet since then. That is very good, amazing. Most of August was a grape fast. That's even more amazing. And now he would like to stay on 100% fruit, but he is losing so much weight. Don't worry about the weight. It'll come right back on him. Don't worry about the weight. It'll come right back on you. You might look like a scarecrow for a little while. It'll come right back on you. But this time it'll be muscles. This time it'll be the right weight. You'll save your gut. You'll save your body. Because if you don't, you'll lose your gut. Because again, this is interstitial lymphatic constipation. Let's see. And you do a little weight going on a water fast. That'll pop up a little bit. But then you could, let's get the mass out. That's the key. Getting the mass out will fix the malabsorption, will fix the asthma, will fix everything. Isn't that beautiful? But you got to get the mass out. He is taking the following herbs: thyroid, thymus. Yeah, you know what? I'd probably shift to the parathyroid with the bones formula. And might still be, oh, you got strong bones. That's perfect, perfect, perfect. I would do the parathyroid, but a kelp supplement, okay, that is good. GI broom, that is excellent. Lung tonics 1 and 2, that's excellent. Now remember, this is a neurological problem, not just the pneumonia was mucus, but asthma is neurological. So you want to go brain and nerve, and I would do upper circulation too, because you got to get blood going up into these glands upstairs, and into the central nervous system. Spasm come when he has an asthma attack. Good thinking. You want to use that one instead of an inhaler. They are cancer causing. They lock the sputum in. Kidneys, that's smart. He is about to begin using castor oil packs on his abdomen. I'd get a lot more aggressive. You're not taking anything for the lymph system. I'd take 2 kidney formulas. You want something for the adrenals. Depends what his blood pressure is. If his blood pressure is low, what is his blood pressure? I don't see it. Anyway, you might want to have somebody help you initially for the first couple of months here. It's up to you. Get a counselor. We're not that expensive. And get your foot on the path, because you want, I would do lymphatic 5 capsules, 2-3 times a day. I do stomach and bowel. If he's moving his bowels, 1, if not 2 or 3. 2-3 times a day. I would do kidney capsule, kidney tincture, a lymph node, say maybe 3. Upper circulation, brain and nerve. I'd probably do liver, gallbladder just to clean that out while I'm doing it. Shift to that later, to the skin formula. Think about the parathyroid, etc., etc., etc. Please could you advise he does not want to slow the detoxification? Yes, I did. The fruit is essential. Fruits, berries, and melons only. You got a mass now. Now the story's a little different. You want to get this mass out, particularly if it's growing. It's only growing because you're not fixing it. You're not getting your kidneys to filter. Once they start filtering, that mass should start growing, and then everything start receding. Keep in mind, if not, you can always pull it out. Not the thing you always want to do, but you want to get this to back up and go out itself. And it will, if your kidneys are strong enough and you get them filtering fast enough and everything is good that way. We understand that there's probably a malabsorption issue, do you think? But we are wondering how long this could take to resolve. Could be 6 months even. But you'll start to see weight come right back on him, because it's not the foods that are doing this, believe it or not. Strongest animals on the planet are fruitarians. Nobody in their right mind messes with monkeys or gorillas. You just don't do something like that. They'll rip you apart. And they're very similar species, not much difference. So, and when you guys are on fruits, what do you start to feel? And this is true for you athletes too, believe this or not. And you runners, holy crap. But all I can tell you is you feel the power of your muscles coming in you never felt before. There's a power that spirit has, or the prana, life force, or whatever, that comes into these tissues. I don't know how to explain it. You get stronger with smaller muscles by far. It's just, I can't even explain the strength and agility you can get with this. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. So it's worth going through. But you got to go through this anyway, because if you don't fix the malabsorption, there's the next tumor. See what I'm saying? You're starting to grow it in this area anyway. So none of this is good. You want to get back. We'd be grateful for your thoughts. He is really dedicated to the fruit diet. Needs to be. Jess, okay. Thank you. Recently wrote about you and my father who has Parkinson's. Oh, okay, here we go. I recently wrote to you about my father who has Parkinson's and who was following the Pearl Mutter. Yeah, right. I can see Pearl Mutter cleaning up all the Parkinson's. He watched your video and is now doing 100% raw. Boy, I would. I mean, when you get into these devastating issues, and especially neurological, well, you can't mess around with these. You can't mess around with them. We've had some good experiences with neurological cases, that's for sure. Dear Dr. Morse, I was hoping you could help me with my wife, Katie. Absolutely. She has been having a lot of anxiety and panic attacks for a little over a year now. So we could stop right there and you know immediately where that's coming from. Very common stuff amongst everybody right now. Not only just due to all this, but the adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands takes a beat up with your happiness. It rides with your emotions. It rides with your kidneys. So when your kidneys back up, the first thing that gets backed up is the adrenal glands, unfortunately. So this is low adrenals. Now, she either has low blood pressure or high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is really low blood pressure. So you want to work with this. Depends what her blood pressure is, but on the top, systolic is what you're looking for. The bottom's your kidneys. So your kidney pressure, you want between 60 and 70. But your top number, 120 to 130. The lower you go, the more chronic fatigue you feel. So when you pull down into the hundreds, you're getting more tired and more tired. In the 90s, very chronic fatigue, and in the 80s, you can't hardly lift your head up off it. And there's a lot of young people running around with 80s over, going to school, trying to learn and get educated with a blood pressure so low, it doesn't make for strong neural responses. Okay, so, and it comes on for seemingly no reason at all. And she could have now, with this, she could have neurotoxicity. There's no question. Neurotoxicity, and I know that there are some perfumes that are neurotoxins. I get around them and I can't breathe. I lose my breath, and I know they're neurotoxic. So there's a lot of chemicals that women use that are neurotoxins. I'm sure some of the cleaning materials are neurotoxins. So you got to be real careful, because the only way to get rid of neurotoxins, of course, is detoxification. With the adrenals, detoxification and regeneration. She has always had anxiety to some degree, meaning she's probably genetically compromised. But it has been getting worse and worse. It can cause severe headaches. Look at that. Usually it causes chest pain. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Difficulty breathing, not to the dangerous point. Tightness in the back muscles, irritability, etc. The list goes on. Well, again, this also does show that she's highly acidic, because this is what happens. You know, you start getting that spasm, that cramping down on that. And, of course, again, you want to increase her adrenals. I'd probably have her on the adrenals, licorice root, endocrine glands, along with the detox program of the kidneys, the bowels, and everything, and start cleaning her up that way. I mean, these things can't be treated. And you don't want to get into, how can I treat my anxiety? Just take an adrenal formula. You want to fix the whole thing of why the adrenals are down. And that always goes to the lymph system, never to the blood. You're going to help things through the blood because you're bringing the goodies in through the kitchen. But the kitchen reaches to the bathroom, and that's what you're doing. You're going through the kitchen to get to the bathroom. There's a door there. Through the kitchen leads to the bathroom. It'll come on while having a juice, eating, sitting, walking, anything. Okay, so it goes right to the stomach then. You want to clean out the GI tract, her GI tract, because the stomach is the nerve ganglia that the adrenal glands, feeds into. This is the autonomic nerve ganglia, where this is the central nerve ganglia. And it's a solar plexus stomach area. And so it sounds like when that's hitting, or when it's acidic or it turns into spasticity, and therefore gives her the migraines, gives her that kind of stuff like that. So my guess is she's got some stomach issues going on here as well, my friend. So you just want to clean up the whole body, get the adrenals up, get the GI tract cleaned up, all of this sort of thing. And she could have neurotoxicity in the stomach. She could be on her road to gastroparesis, all kinds of things. So you just turn her ship around to Wellville and start sailing to Wellville. That's your fruits, berries, and melons. That's your herbs. Go in, clean the body, regenerate the body, and you've got it. Case closed. Boom. Go live life and have fun. But we've tried to identify a cause by documenting what's going on at the time, but it just confuses us because it comes at random times. Yeah. Well, when you have the neural connection like that, it can come from what she thinks, what she sees. It can come from what she eats, because the gastrointestinal area is involved in this. So you could see that from these different areas. It's affecting her sleep. She rarely sleeps through the night anymore. Well, you know what? I think it's more than anxieties. Okay? I mean, when your lymph system is down, it's down head to toe. And the best way to help you guys is don't forget to pull a picture of your eyes, or her eyes, or anybody's eyes, and take a look at them. There's where you're going to find a lot of answers to your questions. Get used to using iridology. Simple science. Everybody should learn it in grade school and get excited over the changes in the eye. We have to get excited over things, and these kind of tools can help us do that. or it'll come on laying down in bed trying to sleep. Because she's going through spasticity, chemistry, you have to understand that in your body, nothing's static. Nothing is just sitting there hanging out looking pretty. Well, you can get real stagnation interstitially, but it's always being fed more and more. So really, even in ionization, you reach a saturation point of electrons, it starts to go the other way. Nothing hangs at the same. It's that movement, that breathing of positive and negative forces back and forth with each other, the magnetism of life, if you will. You can go on and on and on with that. When she wakes up in the morning, she needs some hydration. Well, what does that tell you? Right there tells you her biggest problem. Right there. But it wouldn't it? Extreme acidosis to the point of spasticity of the nervous system. Whether it's the gut, the adrenals, doesn't matter. She is so acidic. If she feels she has so dry when she wakes up, major acidosis, major dehydration. And this isn't one you can real hydrate by just drinking a little water. This is interstitial dehydration, which is how many miles of interstitial spaces do we have around all our cells? We have 100 trillion cells. Usually watermelon juice. Almost immediately, or an attack will be starting. Stomach. Extreme acidosis. So you got to get her on these kits, get her kidneys filtered, get her gut cleaned up. When you start to realize what your problems are, then we've got plenty of tools, and nature's got plenty of tools for us to work with. Well, at least, we could like some more powerful ones for the endos, but you're giving your own, you're answering your own questions by what you're writing here. If you'll look at that, you're already leading into she needs hydration in the morning. It's extreme acidosis. If she doesn't, she goes into spasticity. So you know immediately it's the stomach, the gut tissue. That is the nerve ganglia, of course, leading to the adrenal glands. So they're involved, the kidneys are involved, the GI tract is involved, her head is involved. You see what I'm saying? She's backed up. You'll not know to the extent unless you look at pictures of eyes. It's what I'd be looking at is a picture of her eyes, or get a flashlight and get in there. In fact, the first time I remember an attack like this was while at the chiropractor. She suddenly felt very weak, needed something to eat or drink. Absolutely. Now, here's another thing. You know it's the adrenal glands, that's for sure. So her blood pressure is probably low. If it's not, then her bottom is higher, making her top look higher. So what else? He gave another clue here. What else? And he's saying it right here. Felt very weak, needed something to eat or drink. There's something else that can be contributing factors to all of this. Still coming from the adrenal glands, but affecting what? Low blood sugar. Or high. She could have either one. But when she gets bouts of that, you've got, and you ever go without eating long enough, you feel that before you clean up your bowels, you guys that start on these programs, before you clean up the bowels, when you start going raw, you'll start feeling your gut in there. You'll start feeling the changes, and big changes, because when you move from an omnivorous diet of proteins and dairies, your bowels are so inflamed and so irritated and swollen. When you go the other way, you start to feel and hear the gurgling and the changes of chemistry and everything like that. And that's just what's got to go on here with this person here. But you've got to get that stomach taken care of. So you want to give her small meals more often, whether it's stomach, blood sugar, and could be a combination of all these things, guys. That would be my take. She probably has a little of all these things. As far as diet, I say we are 70% raw, 70% of big fruit. Some cook, but almost always vegan dishes. Yeah, you want to move her right into a raw food diet. You want to take care of this. This is not good. You want to take care of this, right? So go to 100% raw. If you have to do anything, cook, make it steamed soups or veggies, things like that, but stay as raw as possible. Start getting rid of the veggies, Get rid of the veggies, fruits, berries, and melons. Small meals more often. Every 2 or 3 hours, have her have a big bowl of fruit. We are both taking some of your herbs off and on as fruit permits, as funds permit. Well, this one you want to focus on her, unless there's something big going on with you, but you want to focus on her. Get this done. Get her in there and get her out. Kidneys, bladder, lymph, brain and nerve, upper circ, stomach and bowels. Yeah, all those things that you're doing. Good, good, good. We tried adjusting the diet, adding and taking away exercise. Yeah, be careful with the exercise, massage, aromatherapy, everything we can think of. What else can we do? Get the GI broom. I can see her health deteriorating. It's very concerning for you. You just got to get her kidneys filtering and the acidosis out of her. And it could take you a little while to do that. So all the things we're talking about that, go on that and do that. Hit that. This is Aaron. Also, on a complete side note and way off topic, would you be willing to do a few videos specifically on spirituality and out-of-body travel? Yes, I surely would. I've been struggling with my own spirituality. I need to do that. I focus so much on this health thing. There's so many suffering, and I kind of just been weaving spirituality through these things. And I know some of you probably don't like that, but that's just me. I can't help it. But it's just the way life is, because we've got to grow spiritually and get our physical bodies healthy. That's the end of it. Enough said. But be happy to do that. Need to do that. I've been reading The Tiger's Fang. Whoa, Aaron, by Paul Twitchell, and some Eckhart Tolle's work as well. Tolle's work as well. Still, I wonder. Yeah, The Tiger's Fang is a description of all the planes of God. As many has been discovered, all the different realms of God, and there's a bunch of them. Jesus said, my Father's mansion has many rooms. He was referring to the different levels of the heavens that exist. And there's a lot of levels to God, not just physical and then God. Oh, we should be so ego. It's so involved. You've got mental worlds, emotional worlds, physical worlds. You just got all these levels. And that's what I've been trying to show you, these worlds, because they've been laid out all the way up to the Godhead now. And it's just like exciting stuff. And The Tiger's Fang, boy, if you all have a chance to read The Tiger's Fang by Paul Twitchell, it'll give you a good insight to what to expect out of body and what these worlds are like. Exciting stuff. But these are all about other people's journeys. And they're fascinating and it's exciting. But what about your journey? Don't you want to experience some of these things? So your spirituality is definitely related totally to where your attention is placed. If your attention is on yourself or on material things or on others, on emotions or on thought, you will be locked in creation, experiencing creation at all its many fun and unfun levels. But if you take the time to pull back from the bodies and spend time alone into the self and get conscious, just start observing. Don't think. Stop thinking. That's the best doorway I can tell you to help. From there, you can learn how to out-of-body travel by moving your attention wherever you want it to be. And of course, you can't take the body in most of the places you can put your attention. That's how quick you can move mentally. And you can move almost that quick emotionally. You can move out of this body much quicker than you can. This is the slowest, most inert body you have. This is why we're fascinated with beautiful automobiles and planes and trains and things that move. A lot of you would like to come back as birds so you can fly in the sky. Well, you can already fly in the sky. You just can't do it in the physical body. So what? You got plenty of bodies that can fly. But good stuff. I'm glad to see you're reading that. Key to Secret Worlds is another one. There's a whole bunch of Paul Twitchell books, an amazing volume of spirituality works. But that was then. And he was involved in the Master Chila Matrix. I'm not. I'm trying to help you kind of not forego a spiritual being, because there's plenty of us helping you all, but getting into the self, because irregardless of what spiritual being is working with you, it's only you that are going to make the journey. Just like it's only you that are going to eat the raw and fix the body up. No one can do it for you. This is one time no one can do any of this for you. Nor does anybody want to. So Aaron, you're doing good, man. You're doing really good. You got to fix up your wife here a little bit. I don't like what that's going on. But you fix her up, and let me know if you need help doing that. Ultimate health needed before true spirituality? No. No. No, not at all. Matter of fact, some of the most sick people are having out-of-body experiences because they can't stay in the body. It would be nice if they learned to do it more consciously. But no, you don't have to have optimum health to be out-of-body travel. Out-of-body travel, you can be in all kinds of pain. It doesn't matter. It just says pain kind of locks you into the body, but it's how strong you are at moving this attention somewhere else. You're only keeping it tight into the human body, but if I looked over there. I just took a trip. So Paul Twitchell is laying you out a lot of the places you can go. So he's giving you images of these different places that you can actually visit. And if you'll be awake at night, I take a lot of people to these temples and to the 1,000-petal lotus and stuff. So just be aware of colors and temples and stuff in your inner experiences. So you don't need that. You just need to start working on the self, quieting the mind, the chatter of the mind and emotions, desire, thought. Just the desire for spirituality, you just lost it. I want to be more spiritual. I just lost it. That's how subtle. That's how subtle the now is. That's how subtle consciousness versus thought is. It is such a thin razor blade edge. They used to say it's a razor's edge between consciousness and thought. You can see where I'm going with that totally, my friend. The chicken and the egg dilemma, I sure can. And you are already that which is. So it doesn't matter what you do or what you eat or what anything else, because you already are that which is. You just have to awaken to it. Diets do help. The more the bodies, all of them, the more you're thinking, the more you're in emotional and anxiety problems, the more that you have physical health problems, pain, all of this is going to keep you in the body. It keeps your attention here, it keeps you tied in, unless the pain is so strong and then it pops you out. Sad stuff, in one way of looking at it, I guess. But spirituality can happen at any time. Just getting healthy is like a slingshot. And that's what you want, Aaron. Slingshot yourself to God consciousness. Wow. Thanks, Nicolas, for that. Oh, gentle soul. Thank you, my friend. I don't know how gentle I am. I like to be a gentle soul. Sometimes, things require more energy. Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted to make a comment on protein. Oh, wow. Over the years, the shift from protein to fat has become very popular amongst the practitioners, naturopath, and many doctors. I rarely hear anyone focusing on protein anymore, but many taking in lots of omega-3 oils and fats. In fact, many recommend 15% or so of protein and 50% carbs, with the rest of calories coming from fats rich in omega-3. I noticed that. That's where you find the ketosis slipping in with people, which are believed to be anti-inflammatory and helpful to pull acids out of the body. Omega-6 is not recommended, for they would promote inflammation. What are your thoughts on that?